Well, howdy, folks. I got a confession to make. I'm the friend of the barn swallows. At work. You see, now every year, the barn swallows come back. And we got a barn. And they fly into the barn and they nest. They made nests on the top of these rafters, and there's some pipes and stuff on the ceiling. So every year, as soon as I see the barn swallows flying around outside, I know it's time to prop the door open. So that's where I punch in. There's this door to the barn. It's not a regular big old barn door. It's just a regular door, kind of. And, well, in the wintertime it gets shut. But come spring, when the barn swallows come back, well, then I prop the door open. What am I leading up to? Is Bodine having more problems? Something else this time? What is it this time? Well, like I said, I am the friend of the barn swallows. So when these barn swallows come back, I prop that door open. And the barn swallows swoop by me, and I think they recognize me. So I take off, and when I come back, the door's shut again. There's the problem. So I prop the door open again. And then I come back the next day to punch in for work, and the door's shut again. So I prop the door open again. And I kind of get a tight squeeze going with the ground. If you push the door far enough up against the building, the door kind of gets stuck. So I start doing this. The next time I get around that door, it's shut again. So somebody like yanked it off of this tight squeeze I put it into. So day after day, I keep squeezing into that tight squeeze, and that door keeps getting ripped out of that tight squeeze. So I've been taking this big rock, real big. Not quite a boulder, but it's a nice sized rock, about the size of a basketball or so. And I put that in front of the door as well. And when I come back, the rock is pushed aside, and the door's shut again. So it's like a frenzy. I'm trying to help the barn swallows, and somebody, for whatever reason, insists that doors are going to be shut. Well, Bodine isn't going to let it be shut. So I keep propping it open. Now the bottom of the door is starting to tatter into big splinters from being stuck up against the side of the barn where it gets a tight fit and getting ripped out of that position by somebody. Now last year, I think one of the owners seen me doing this, because when I push the door real tight up against the barn, I kind of got to give it a couple shots with my foot, like I'm kicking it. So one of the owners, well, he hid in the barn one day. Yeah, he was hiding in the barn, waiting for me to come into work. Of course, the door was shut, and I took that door and I gave it a good kick. Bang! A couple kicks. I turn around to punch in, and all of a sudden there's the boss standing there. He goes, "Why are you beating up the door?" I said, He looked at me kind of funny. He goes, "It's all about them birds, isn't it?" I said, "Yep, it's about the birds. You realize that each one of those birds eats about 1,000 mosquitoes a day?" He goes, "I know, but they're pooping all over the inside of the barn." I said, "Well, it's the price you got to pay. I mean, do you like mosquitoes?" He goes, "If you clean up all that mess." I said, "Sure." course, I never did. Well, there was a reason. It wasn't that I said I would, but actually, I wound up in the summertime, the end of summer, I wound up getting laid off last year. So by the time I got back to work again, somebody else had cleaned it up. So here we are again this year, and it's the same thing going on again. I get that door open, somebody closes it. So the other day, I mentioned it to the boss. I go, somebody keeps shutting that door. And he's, well. I go, somebody doesn't care about those birds. He kind of shrugged his shoulders. And I said, you don't care about them either, do you? He goes, yeah, I do care about them. So, me and the birds are going to reach out and make some new friends. Maybe even the boss. So I'm curious to see, now that the boss is aware of the door being shut and he says he likes the birds. I'm curious now. Is he going to help me help the birds? Well, the birds actually have another way in as well. But they got to fly all the way around the other side of the barn and come in through a giant barn door type of opening and fly all the way through the barn. And it's a real big barn. It's got different rooms. They got to fly through all these rooms just to get to the side of the barn where they nest. So there you have it. Now I figure that these barn swallows have been in that barn nesting probably longer than I've been alive. I don't know how old that barn is. I'd say it's somewhere in the 1800s, so maybe the late 1800s. But those barn swallows have probably been in there, 100 years. Not the same ones. But anyway, every year I look forward to seeing them barn swallows, and of course they're back and they're nesting, and it's a good thing. Now, if I could just open the eyes of whoever's shutting that door, it must be driving them as crazy as it's driving me. They might be somebody who they don't like the birds, maybe. So I don't know what to think about that. Actually, I think I know who's doing it. There might be a couple people, but there's one old guy there. I think he's doing it. So, there you have it. It's the barn swallow story. Yep. Talk to you later, folks.